My name is Trisha. My husband, Brett, and I have been married for 3 years. We built our own home right after we got married. We are currently living with Brett's mother. She raised him as his only parent. The decision to live together was made primarily due to Brett's strong wish to make his mother's life easier, who had been a single mother, and her unwillingness to live alone, despite my apprehensions about living with my strong-willed mother-in-law. Living together was as terrible as I had imagined. I soon found that the time I spent at work was my only respite. It's my responsibility to do the grocery shopping after work and prepare dinner. My mother-in-law basically doesn't do any housework.
I'm using the kitchen right now. Can you wait a bit?
But I need to start making dinner soon.
I'll be done in a little bit. Just wait for me.
Okay. I understand.
Why is there only one kitchen even though we live together?
When we suggested a 2-family house, you refused, remember?
Did I? I was probably being considerate then. The house would have been more expensive if we had chosen a 2-family house, wouldn't it?
That's true, but in hindsight, it might have been better to at least have 2 kitchens.
I thought so too, but I was being patient. You should be thankful to me for that.
Is that so? I thought you refused the 2-family house because you didn't want to be alone.
That's not the case. If I could, I would have preferred a 2-family house.
Should we consider renovating then?
Fine by me, but I can't pay for it.
But if we do, we would need some financial support from you as well.
I have no intention to work anymore, and I spent a lot of money on Brett being a single mother, so I hardly have any retirement savings. Therefore, I can't contribute.
But Brett and I are paying for all the household expenses, including the mortgage and utilities. If you want a 2-family house, we would need your help.
I don't have any money to spare. I spent all my money on Brett. Brett is working at a good company, so he should pay me back more than I spent on him.
If that's the case, we'll have to cooperate and get along from now on.
Why do I have to be told what to do by you? If you earn more money, you can afford to renovate, can't you?
I'm not telling you what to do, and I don't think my salary is going to increase any further, so please don't count on me.
Even though Brett makes a high salary, because he married you with your low income, we can't live comfortably at all.
What are you trying to say?
Sometimes I can't help but think it would have been nicer if Brett had married someone better.
Is that so?
You're able to live because of my son who I've raised so carefully, so don't get too big for your britches.
I'm working too, you know.
I know exactly how much you make. You should be more grateful to my high-earning son.
I am grateful, but...
But what? You're living off the money my son earned, so don't complain about this and that.
I might be relying on him, but I do earn my own money as well.
Enough, enough, enough!
Why are you so angry?
If you were highly paid, I wouldn't have to put up with these hard days. That's why I'm irritated.
Even if you tell me that now.
Why do I have to live alone with you every day?
Because Brett is on a business trip, we have no choice.
He's almost never home for the past 3 years.
It's his job, so we can't help it.
He didn't go on business trips before marriage. Why did this happen?
Because he changed jobs.
But it's the same profession, right? Can the conditions change that much?
It seems like a company with a lot of business trips.
I'd rather live alone than this.
If you hate living with just the 2 of us that much, why don't you live alone?
Are you going to pay for my living expenses? Then maybe I'll do that.
Why don't you ask Brett?
Brett will definitely want to live with me.
That may be true. I'll talk to him when he comes back on the weekend. During the week, Brett is away on business trips. So it's usually just me and my mother-in-law staying in the house we built. Even though I felt discontented, I tried my best not to cause a conflict, but it seems that Trisha also dislikes living with me. We decided to discuss it when Brett comes home. It doesn't seem to work out with the three of us, so I talked to Brett first. Your mom said she doesn't like living with just me.
What? Why?
She doesn't like that you're not at home because of your business trips.
Well, I can't help it. It's my job.
She said she'd rather live alone than live with just me.
What? It's your fault for making Mom say that.
Why is it my fault?
If you got along with her, she wouldn't have said such things. I bet you're just giving her lip, aren't you?
No, that's not the case. I've been cooking meals and doing all the house chores properly.
Well, that's expected, isn't it?
What do you mean by that?
Mom has been through a lot raising me. I want her to have an easier time now.
And that's why I'm trying to do right by her.
Do right by her? House chores are your responsibility.
What's with that attitude?
Please get along with Mom better.
I'm doing my best, but if it's causing stress for both of us, maybe it would be better for her to live on her own.
What a waste of money that would be.
Well, yes. But maybe we should have built a duplex then.
We can't afford a renovation now.
If you could just curb your spending habits a bit, that wouldn't be a problem.
Why is it always my fault?
You're receiving extra for business trips, so instead of wasting it on slot machines, why not put it towards our living expenses? We'll be able to afford a renovation then.
I don't want to do that. Slot machines are my only joy during those trips.
What are we supposed to do being stressed out then?
All you need to do is put in more effort, and we'll get along like a real family.
That's easy for you to say, but it's not easy to build a real familial bond with your in-laws, you know.
You can say that after you've put in the effort.
What's that supposed to mean?
I'll ask Mom to be a bit more patient with you.
Patient. It sounds like you're saying it's all my fault.
Man, this is such a hassle. Your job is twofold: to get along with Mom and to take care of the house. I'm counting on you when I'm not home.
It seems Brett had spoken to my mother-in-law because she eventually gave up on the idea of me moving out. However, things got even worse after that conversation. One day at dinner, just the two of us again.
I don't want this. It tastes bad.
What's wrong? You've been very picky lately.
Brett told me something.
What was it?
He said that I should get along better with you.
I see.
He told me that I should speak my mind and not hold back.
Is that so?
He said that if I lived as if you were my own daughter, my stress would disappear. So I decided to stop holding back. Even if I didn't want to eat something, I had been eating it anyway, but I decided to stop that too.
So that's what it was. From that day forward, my mother-in-law became more and more selfish. My stress piled up higher than ever. Whenever I tried to discuss it with Brett, he would just say that I wasn't trying hard enough and wouldn't help me at all. I finally reached my breaking point.
By the way, did you clean the bathroom yesterday?
Yes, I did.
You left it dirty.
After hearing that from my mother-in-law, who had just gotten out of the bath, my anger reached its peak. I'm sick and tired of being nagged about these little things every single day.
Brett told me to treat you like my real daughter, so that's what I'm doing.
Real daughter? I don't remember becoming your daughter.
What's with that attitude?
I think you are mistaking me for a servant, not a daughter.
Well, now that you mention it, you do seem like a servant.
I'm not your servant.
Then why don't you leave?
That's what I should be saying.
What?
Do you really plan on kicking me out, even though you don't contribute to living expenses?
Of course. Brett is the head of this household.
But I'm Brett's wife.
What are you talking about? I am Brett's mother. Do you think a wife has a higher status?
It's not about status or anything like that.
Then what is it? Do you think Brett will choose you?
I think Brett will choose you, mother-in-law, because he cherishes you so much.
That's more like it.
Are you really sure it's okay if I leave?
Why worry? It'll definitely be okay without you. I'd feel relieved, actually.
Is that so? Even if it might make things financially difficult, it's okay?
Why worry? It's none of your business.
I understand.
Brett earns $70,000 annually. We're comfortable, so stop undermining us.
I'm not undermining. I'm just worried.
There's no reason for you to worry. Stop belittling us. Get a divorce quickly.
Understood. There seems to be no need to discuss this with Brett. I will pack my things and leave promptly.
Finally. The nuisance is gone.
Several days later, I left without saying anything to Brett. If I had consulted with Brett, who adores his mother, I am the one who is to be blamed. As if to prove it, there was no contact from Brett, who must have returned from his business trip. And I decided to divorce. I would meet with Brett alone.
Dude, I told you to get along with Mom. Why did you fight?
It seems you're only siding with your mother, making everything my fault.
What? You want to say you were harassed by Mom?
Let's not. There's no need to argue here. I've already decided to get a divorce.
Wait. Are you intending to divorce me?
Yes? Did you think we weren't going to divorce?
Well, we're not on bad terms or anything.
There's no way I can continue to live with a mother-in-law like that. And you, Brett, you're a mama's boy who has no intention of helping me.
I'm not a mama's boy.
You're nothing but a mama's boy.
Is that so?
Your mother is all about you, Brett. It's mutual love, so enjoy it.
Hey, you must be kidding me.
Wishing you a lifetime of happiness. We completed our divorce papers without any issue, and we were divorced. The house was mortgaged under Brett's name, so it became his. Then, just a month after our divorce, I got a call from Brett. He said he had something he wanted to discuss with me, including his mother, so I reluctantly went to meet them.
Wait a minute. What's going on?
Why are you being so emotional all of a sudden?
Don't play innocent.
Excuse me?
We can't make ends meet with Brett's earnings alone.
Well, of course, you can't.
What do you mean?
We used to pay for our living expenses with my earnings as well.
And he's bringing home less than I thought, not even $70,000 a year.
It seems like you were mistaken, mother-in-law.
What do you mean?
The one making $70,000 a year is me.
What? Then how much does Brett make?
Brett used to earn around $50,000 a year before he changed jobs, but it dropped significantly after that.
I didn't know that.
Well, it's not a surprise you didn't know. It's not something we would necessarily tell you.
Even so, his take-home pay is way too low.
That's because his salary is being deducted for his gambling debts.
What?
That's why his take-home pay is significantly less, and I had to supplement the shortfall with my salary.
Why didn't you tell me sooner?
No, I did tell you. I warned you that it would be financially tough. But then, you told me it was none of your business.
Well,
I didn't say anything because I thought it would be bothersome to you.
He seems to be gambling every day on his business trips too.
Brett has a gambling addiction, you know.
We managed to pay this month's gas, water, electricity, and everything else, but I don't think we can pay them from next month.
That sounds tough.
It's hard, so come back.
What are you talking about?
Marry him again and come back.
That's way too convenient for you.
If you come back, I promise I won't meddle or complain anymore. I apologize for everything in the past. Please.
That's impossible, I'm afraid. At that point, Brett, who had been silent all along, spoke up.
I didn't know anything about the money situation either.
I bet.
I thought we were making do with just my salary.
There's no way that was possible.
I feel guilty for always siding with my mother. Can't we start over?
Being able to leave a gambling addict was a relief, so remarrying is absolutely out of the question.
What's with that attitude?
Moreover, I can't handle a mama's boy.
Don't say such things.
You two are in love, so why not work together and give it your all? You should be able to make it.
I beg you.
Are we done with this topic? If so, I'd like to leave soon. It's my day off and I have things to do.
Please, come back home. If you don't, I'll be the one who has to work.
Please work hard and support Brett. I'm counting on you. Ignoring their pleas for reconciliation, I went home. I had kept their contacts in case something happened, but I took this opportunity to block them and delete their contacts. I requested a transfer to a store near my parents' house, and I moved into an apartment close by. Brett's house is about a 2-hour drive away, and Brett dislikes my father, so he probably won't come to this area. Half a year later, I worked at the previous store near Brett's house for the first time in a while as part of a support team. I was curious and passed by their house, only to find a surprising sight. The house was up for sale. They must have been unable to make the payments. And then, while I was at work, I saw my mother-in-law. And she noticed me and approached me.
I finally found you.
What's going on?
I thought we might meet if I waited here.
To my surprise, my mother-in-law was working at the supermarket next to the cell phone shop where I worked. Are you working?
You can tell by looking.
So, you're working here in hopes of seeing me?
That's right. I wanted to ask you to come back home as soon as I saw you.
Are you still saying that? I have no intention of returning.
Don't say that. We had to sell our house and can't live there anymore.
I see.
We're somehow managing to live in a small apartment, just the two of us.
Well, that's good. You're living happily with your beloved son.
Don't mock me. And Brett has a part-time job. He often doesn't come home on his days off. We barely have any time to talk.
Is that so? Brett must be having a hard time.
I didn't want to work anymore, but look at me now.
You're having a tough time, too. But please continue to support Brett.
I can't do it. Please, won't you consider reconciling?
Stop being so persistent. I've told you, it's impossible.
Don't say that, please.
I have to get back to work. I don't have time to engage in pointless conversations.
It's not pointless.
For me, it's a pointless conversation. I wish you and Brett a long and happy life together.
Wait a minute.
Apparently, the two of them who sold the house are now living in a small apartment. As far as I know, they still have 2 years left to repay their gambling debts, so they'll probably live hand to mouth until then. I hope they can work together and overcome this. As for me, I'm doing my job every day with energy and enjoyment. Things have been going well for me since the divorce. Good things come in bunches, and I'm grateful to be dating a wonderful man right now. I want to be happy next time. With this, I'll finally get the inheritance. Right before losing consciousness, I heard my husband's voice. I had just finished a hospital visit and was about to head home when suddenly a car sped towards me. I realized it too late to escape and was hit. Amidst the intense pain and fading consciousness, I heard what my husband had said. What did he mean by inheritance? Why was he even here? As I tried to make sense of it, I lost consciousness without seeing him. 3 days later, I woke up and saw on the TV that my husband was acting the part of a grieving, loving husband. I was furious. He was garnering sympathy while pretending to be a good person, even though he had schemed everything. I couldn't let him have his way anymore and decided to seek revenge. I am Jennifer Brown, 29 years old. A music teacher. I've always loved the piano and dreamed of becoming a pianist since childhood. After practicing desperately every day, I managed to get into a music college, but I was overwhelmed by the high level of competition and eventually gave up. I obtained a teaching license and became a music teacher. Currently, I work at a local public middle school, where I'm not just a teacher but also the advisor of the choir club, leading a busy life. Being a teacher is tough, but the kids admire me calling teacher, so I was enjoying fulfilling days. Last year, I married Robert, whom I had dated since college. We were at the peak of happiness in both our personal and professional lives, but it didn't last. My husband Robert was just a mess. He worked at a bar, and because of the nature of his job, he had late shift. Our daily rhythms were completely different, and we began to drift apart. He often drinks after work, so I find him sleeping at the entrance returning home drunk in the morning. Initially, I thought it was just part of his job. But when I came home tired from work, I found clothes thrown about, and the table littered with empty instant noodle cups and finished drink bottles. Seeing this mess every day, my anger just kept building up.
Robert, put your clothes in the laundry. And can you clean up your mess?
What? Stop nagging. I'll do it later.
Later? You always say that and never do it. Do it now.
Frowning, Robert clicked his tongue in annoyance.
If it bothers you so much, do it yourself. You're such a nagging woman. What? I'm tired from work every day. Why do I have to take care of you? Can't you at least take care of your own things?
I'm tired too, you know. Do you think you're the only one? Or do you think you're superior to me because you earn more? I denied that, and Robert sighed.
Then you should do it.
Don't order me around like that. Saying this, Robert lazily lay down on the sofa and started fiddling with his mobile phone. Despite shorter working hours than me, he never helped with housework and just drank around and slept at home. I ended up doing all the cleaning and laundry. Recently, our dates had stopped and we just argued more. Robert was very handsome. He was popular in college that he even had fans from neighboring universities. I felt superior just being able to marry him. I was smitten with the gentlemanly Robert during our courtship, but now I wondered why I married him. However, everyone has their good and bad sides. I thought maybe it was okay for someone handsome to have a flawed personality, so I decided to bear with it. Half a year after getting married, Robert, who usually went out even on his days off, seemed restless one morning. When I finished cleaning up after breakfast, he called me.
Actually, the bar's been doing poorly lately. I'm short on cash. Can you lend me some?
What? Are you that short on money? What did you spend it on? He had been saying for months that his salary had decreased and he couldn't pay living expenses. But his salary was supposed to be entirely disposable, yet he claimed to be short on money.
You know, sometimes I go out for drinks with friends. Alcohol costs a lot.
If it's really for the shop, you should get reimbursed for expenses. It's ridiculous to pay out of your own pocket.
No, it's not that. I mean, I need it for studying. I have to know other bars' menus and stuff for research.
Robert's stammering explanation seemed suspicious.
How much do you need? You'll give it to me? $200. Just $200 is fine.
I sighed, and Robert happily hugged me. I was exasperated by his opportunistic behavior, but it was exactly this kind of charm that always ensnared me. I took out $200 from my wallet and handed it to him. He hugged me again. I really made the right choice marrying Jennifer. Thank you so much. Because of our constant fighting these days, I felt over the moon when he hugged me while I was exasperated with him. I felt like I had to support him, who had a tough job. But then, he started asking for money almost every month. The amount he wanted kept increasing, and before I knew it, I was giving him as much as $1,000 monthly. For me, just a teacher, it was quite tough to pay $1,000 in addition to regular living expenses. Despite my efforts to save, my savings were rapidly depleting.
Robert, can you pay back even a little of the money I gave you?
What?
Why all of a sudden? You gave me that money, why should I give it back?
It's getting hard to make ends meet. If I keep giving you money, I won't be able to pay for gas or water. When I spoke to Robert before he went to work, he made a face as if it was a hassle. I can't help it, my salary is too low. You could if you tried to save a bit, like cutting down on eating out.
I'm doing that for the bar.
Are you trying to interfere with my work? Then sell your piano. That'll bring in good money. Saying that, he left the house. My piano is as precious to me as life itself. It was a gift from my father when I was 2 years old. I need it for practice as a music teacher, there's no way I can part with it. Yet, Robert, who casually drinks around, coldly suggested selling it, which infuriated me. After that, Robert and I stopped speaking. He didn't try to talk to me either, and our marital relationship was practically in ruins. I was contemplating divorce when an incident occurred. While playing the piano, a pain shot through my wrist. The pain, like an electric shock from the wrist to the fingertips, became unbearable. When I visited the hospital, I was diagnosed with tendinitis.
If it gets worse, you might need surgery, so you should get a thorough examination at a bigger hospital.
Told this at a nearby clinic, I was given a referral letter. Then, I headed to the general hospital in the next town. If my wrist pain worsens, I might not be able to play the piano anymore. And if I can't play, I might lose my job. If that happens, I don't know what to do to make a living. Having focused solely on playing the piano and not having done any other job, I thought changing careers would be difficult. Before the consultation, I felt anxious and heavy-footed. However, the doctor, after seeing the X-rays, smiled and said it was okay.
Let's observe for now. If possible, please rest your hand. Don't play the piano for about a week, and if the pain worsens, come back for another visit.
I was relieved to hear that it wasn't serious enough for surgery. It happened when I stepped out the parking, just as I was about to leave the hospital triumphantly.
Watch out!
I heard a woman scream and turned around in shock to see a car speeding towards me. I wanted to run, but my body wouldn't move properly. Then, an immense impact hit my body.
It's an accident! Call an ambulance! Get a doctor!
I heard various voices. Amidst fading consciousness, a familiar voice reached my ears.
With this, the inheritance plan will work out.
I heard a distinctly familiar voice amidst the others. But I lost consciousness before I could identify the speaker. 3 days later, I woke up to the ceiling of a hospital room. When I tried to sit up, intense pain shot through my body. Ow, it hurts.
Ms. Brown!
Can you hear me?
I'll go get the doctor, just wait here.
I couldn't respond to the nurse's voice. She hurried out, and then the doctor came running.
Ms. Brown, do you know where you are?
The hospital?
Correct. You were hit by a car after your last visit and have been hospitalized. You haven't woken up for 3 days, so we were worried.
I was shocked to hear it had been 3 days, but I couldn't voice it. The nurse and doctor then explained my current situation. I had been hit by a car and suffered multiple complex fractures throughout my body. I was still in a period of absolute rest, not even allowed to sit up.
It must be boring just lying there. Do you want to watch TV? You can watch it while lying down.
The nurse turned on the TV for me, ensuring my comfort. Coincidentally, the TV was covering my accident.
Oh, you probably don't want to see this, do you? Should I change the channel?
No, please leave it. I want to watch. I couldn't take my eyes off the news. It reported that a woman named Amelia, who hit me with her car, was arrested for dangerous driving causing injury. Seeing the perpetrator's photo, everything made sense to me. Then I realized that the voice talking about receiving an inheritance when I was hit was Robert's. He had intentionally run me over with a car for money. However, the news only reported that he was in Amelia's car as a friend, nothing more. The screen switched to Robert.
I never imagined that the car I was in would cause an accident and hit my wife. I keep seeing that scene in my dreams. I can't sleep at night.
I exploded with anger at his tearful interview. This accident was undoubtedly schemed by Robert. I couldn't stand him causing me this accident for inheritance and then continuing to act like a good husband. Determined not to let Robert have his way anymore, I vowed revenge. 4 hours after waking up, Robert burst into the room, panting. "Jennifer! Thank goodness you're awake!" I shook off Robert's hand as he tried to grasp mine uninvited. "What's wrong? Are you still in pain?"
Yes, I am.
"My whole body is in excruciating pain, all because of you." "What are you talking about?" The atmosphere grew tense, making even the nearby nurse's expression stiffen. Trying to lighten the mood, Robert forced a smile. "Are you still confused? Is there anything you want to eat? I'll go buy it." "I don't want anything. Can you please leave my room right now?" "Why are you saying that?" "Jennifer, you're acting strange."
It's not strange at all. The accident was schemed by you for the inheritance, wasn't it?
Robert looked surprised at my words. "What are you talking about? Why would I do something like that?"
Really? Then why did you take out a high-value life insurance policy a month before the accident?
You said you couldn't even afford to pay the living expenses because your salary was low. I was told it's good to have insurance in case something happens. Amelia, the girl who hit Jennifer with her car, she works in insurance sales. She used to work part-time at my bar. Robert had given the same explanation when he took out the insurance. They had been close since her part-time days, and after she got a job at an insurance company, they kept in touch. He said he felt sorry for her as she was struggling to sell policies. As he worried about getting scolded by her boss and having low pay, he decided to take out a policy to help her out. The insurance was taken out because you, Jennifer, earn more than me, right? If something happened and you couldn't work, it would be a problem, so I contracted the insurance for you. Isn't that reasonable? Hearing that, it seemed like his explanation might not be wrong.
You're in a situation where you have to borrow money from me and can't pay the living expenses, yet you can afford insurance premiums? If you can pay that much, why not repay me?
Don't say that. I got the insurance for your sake. Robert said this while holding my hand. His expression looked genuinely concerned, but I couldn't bring myself to trust him.
If that's the case, you won't mind if the insurance money doesn't come in, right? I need quite a lot of money for surgery and hospitalization. I'll use the insurance money we received, so please transfer the entire amount to my account.
What? All of it? Is that much really necessary?
It might be. If it's not enough, will you pay the rest, Robert?
What? Not enough. That can't be true. Robert's face stiffened as he muttered to himself. Seeing him like this, the nurses also cast suspicious glances. I beckoned Robert to come closer and whispered so only he could hear.
It's useless to lie anymore. There isn't much insurance money because I'm alive, and there's zero inheritance. You must be disappointed.
Robert frowned upon hearing this.
Zero inheritance? What do you mean? It means there's almost no savings. Did you think you would get all my money if I was gone? Why is there none? You're a public servant, you earn well, right?
Robert's voice grew louder, and a nurse frowned upon overhearing him.
I was lending money to you, Robert. How much do you think a teacher's salary is? I'm still in my 20s, I don't earn that much. Plus, there are living expenses to pay. I never had any financial leeway. You've got to be kidding. What was all this for, then?
Robert hung his head, clutching at his forehead. My anger surged at his true nature showing.
You won't get away with this easily. You'll be arrested too if they find out you were an accomplice. No one will believe that. Did you see the news? I'm the devoted husband worried about his wife. No one will believe anything you say. They'll just think you've gone mad from hitting your head.
While saying this, Robert laughed.
You can say that now, but not for long.
I replied calmly to Robert's provocation. Then, he looked at me with a cold gaze.
Don't get cocky. You should have just gone to the other world.
I despised him for saying such things so casually. I sighed, waiting for the moment of revenge. Just as I sighed, the door of the hospital room opened abruptly, and men in a suit entered.
Who the hell are you?
We're the police.
Is what you just said true? What? What are you talking about? I'm just worried about my wife.
Ignoring Robert, who was sweating and panicking, the police reached for my bedside and took out a mobile phone. The phone was in the middle of a call.
We've heard everything. Even the part about she should have gone to the other world. What? Why are the police?
He turned pale and started to tremble.
I called them. I wanted their help to uncover the truth about the accident. Thanks to you, I could fully expose your true nature. What, you? Officer, this is a misunderstanding. I just have a quick temper, and I thought Jennifer was picking a fight, so I snapped. It's not really about the money.
No one will believe those words now.
Then show me evidence that I'm the perpetrator of the accident.
Robert kicked the bed in frustration. I glared at him and turned to the police.
The woman currently arrested, Amelia, is his mistress. They've been close for quite a while. What? Don't say such nonsense without evidence.
There is evidence.
I had hired a private detective agency to investigate you. We have photos of you with Amelia and records of your activities over the past few months.
Lying won't help you now. Ever since Robert frequently started asking me for money, I suspected he was in debt and hired a private detective agency investigate. The investigation revealed that he was having an affair, spending money on drinks and hotels daily. Knowing his mistress's face, I was certain he was involved in the accident when I saw her on the news. The police were making a phone call to search my house while listening to the conversation. Meanwhile, Robert was sweating and visibly shaken.
So you ran out of money I gave you, and planned this accident to get the inheritance and insurance money, planning to live with her, isn't that right? That's just your wild imagination. Then I'll take the insurance money. Withdraw it now and bring it to me.
Robert fell silent. It seems like he doesn't want to give up the money at all. Even though Robert refuses to hand over the insurance money despite the situation, the surrounding skepticism grows.
I've heard from the police. They're concerned about how much you've been worrying about that woman. Well, she's my friend, it's natural to be concerned. The police told me they're concerned about how much you worry about the other woman. You're not even mad at Amelia for what happened to me. And why were you at the hospital that day, at that time?
It was a weekday morning when I went to the hospital. Robert should have been getting ready for work around noon, and it was the time when I finished my appointment. Yet, he was inexplicably near a hospital in a neighboring city.
I just happened to have a day off. On your day off, you were at the hospital? There are no places around there that you would visit. You weren't being treated there, so there must have been some reason you were there.
Robert was speechless, sweating profusely. The police then restrained him.
We'll ask for the details at the station. Please come with us. Wait. I'm not guilty. It's all a misunderstanding by Jennifer.
His desperate excuses were ignored by the police, who remained unfazed with a stern expression.
Officer, if he had planned the accident, what kind of punishment could he face? Well, if it's premeditated, it could be attempted murder. We need to hear the full story first, though. Attempted murder? Help me! Jennifer, I'm not guilty! Forgive me!
Robert, pale as a ghost, shook off the police's grip and clung to my bed.
I admit I was wrong for cheating and borrowing money. I'm sorry. But this time, I was just in the car. I'm not guilty. Before I lost consciousness, I heard your voice, Robert. Saying now we'll get the inheritance as planned. How can I forgive someone who did this for money?
When I spoke up, he started making unbelievable statements.
What? Are you sure about that? If I get arrested, it will reflect badly on you too. You'll have trouble at work. It's in your best interest to be careful.
Why should I forgive you?
Do you even realize what you've done? I plan to divorce you, and whether you get arrested or not is none of my concern.
I sighed in exasperation at his shocked expression.
Wait! Talking about divorce at a time like this? What do you mean? How can I live without Jennifer?
I made a further attack on Robert, who held his head in despair.
That's not my problem. Just so you know, I was planning to divorce even without this incident. I have proof of your infidelity, and I'll get a hefty compensation in the divorce trial. Compensation in a divorce trial? How can I possibly pay that? If I get arrested, I'll lose my job too. That's your own fault for committing a crime. You should have thought twice before doing such things.
Robert then knelt down, defeated.
I was tricked. Amelia said to me, if you wanted money, you should have just taken out insurance and staged an accident. Initially, I was supposed to drive, but since my license was suspended, she decided to drive. It's all her fault.
Robert shouted. Hearing Robert try to lighten his sentence even in this situation, I couldn't contain my fury.
Tricked or not, I don't care. I'll never forget you saying I should have gone to the other world. That was your true feeling. That's a lie. I didn't mean it. I can't believe such words. I never want to have anything to do with you again, Robert. I'll consult a lawyer about the divorce, so never contact me again. No, that's a lie. Stop it. I'm not bad. Let go.
He started to thrash around, but he was warned that further resistance could lead to obstruction of justice charges, and he quietly left the hospital room with the police. The next day, I learned from the news that Robert had been arrested. The once kind and grieving husband was now vilified as a criminal who plotted murder for insurance money. Over a decade later, I heard that he was released from prison. He had been fired from his job and struggled to find new employment due to his criminal record. Apparently, he was now working at a grocery store. I saw on social media that he is often reprimanded at work for having a lot to learn. As his case was reported in national news, he's well known to many. Apparently, people recognize him and take his photos without permission, making him uncomfortable. The photos show him looking significantly aged and unkempt, likely due to financial struggles. It's sad to see such a drastic change in someone who was once celebrated for his looks during his college days. Despite feeling this way, I cannot forgive him. I hope he spends his life reflecting on his actions. After everything that happened, I resigned from the school where I was working and moved out of state. There, I found a job as a piano teacher. Miraculously, my hands were not permanently damaged from the accident, and I was able to play the piano again. Now, I am remarried to a different man, and we are blessed with 2 daughters, living happily as a family of 4. When I married Robert, I chose him based on his looks. However, this experience taught me a painful lesson about not judging people by their appearance. My current husband may not be conventionally handsome, but he's kind, honest, and a wonderful person. I've made a vow to myself to never be swayed by appearances and to discern people's true nature.